welcome to this week's episode of Geek-Minded Fools. My name's Graham.
And I'm Scott.
As usual, we'll start this episode with a visit to the monkey farm.
Hey, partners, it's time to see what Scott's doing down on his monkey farm.
Right, this week, sir, in my monkey farm,
Yep.
I've got news of a wizard in Los Santos.
A wizard?
A wizard in Los Santos. Indeed. I've got some very, very cool bat news for you. And I'm going to save the final bit for last.
You tease.
It's something I think you already know, but, you know, I like to tease.
Okay.
So, the wizard in Los Santos, sir, Daniel Radcliffe's going to be in a GTA movie.
They're making a GTA movie?
No. Brilliant. Well, they kind of are. Basically, BBC Films are going to produce a movie centering on the disbarred Miami lawyer Jack Thompson, an absolutely terrible man. He basically tried to get violent video games banned. Yeah, no age ratings on them. He didn't want to do any further work with the 18 certificate games. Just wanted them outright banned.
So, violent meaning what?
Violent meaning GTA, getting in a car with a prostitute, having your way with her and shooting her in the back of the head, violent, that kind of thing.
So obviously that's something that's set in reality. Did he also want, say, Halo banned?
Yeah.
Even though that
he
has
wanted,
no grounds in reality at all.
Jack Thompson, if he thought it was slightly violent, he wanted it banned.
I'll be honest, I've heard nothing of this at all.
You never knew about it. This was back in 2000, I believe,
Okay.
that this all sprang up. But basically, this BBC film, it is going to be called Grand Theft Auto, from what I've read.
Okay.
Daniel Radcliffe is going to be playing Sam Houser, who is one of the two brothers who created the Grand Theft Auto series.
Okay.
So you've got Sam and Dan Houser. They are notoriously elusive. They very rarely come out for shows or for awards ceremony. Daylight. Yeah, well, they're too busy writing amazing games.
Absolutely.
The BBC film is going to centre, as I said, on the kind of battle that went on between Sam Houser and Jack Thompson over GTA.
Do we know who's playing Thompson?
There's no word on that yet, but I would hope he's going to be someone particularly slimy that I can shout at the TV. Jack Thompson's just an awful, terrible person, in my opinion. He should never have been allowed the airtime he was given on the news or for as many years as he was.
When's your audition?
Yeah, exactly. It looks like this project's going to be overseen by a chap called Owen Harris, who directed episodes of Misfits, which was kind of our English alternative to Heroes. I don't know if you ever saw Misfits.
Yes. The E4?
It was on E4, yeah.
With the guy from This Is England.
That's exactly. Yeah, he was in one of the seasons, wasn't he? Was he in the first season?
Quite possibly. I only ever saw trailers of it.
Was it Woody? Woody from This Is England.
Yeah, the guy who plays Woody,
who
was in that at some point.
So brilliantly in a film that I saw very recently. Lockout.
He was in Lockout.
He was the best thing in Lockout. He was the best thing in Lockout. He is very good in it. But yeah, he's also directed episodes of Black Mirror as well, which I think is a good sign, because I've loved all the Black Mirror shows. I think they've been brilliant. Not just because of Charlie Brooker's writing, but because of the directing style in it as well. It's just been really, really constantly good.
As an aside to that, what did you make of the Christmas special last time being the split into three parts, the sort of three stories?
I liked it.
With obviously John Hamm tying them all.
I really liked it. It didn't get good press, did it?
No.
It was almost as if people thought it was a little walked down from what he'd done previously.
I think mainly because the outcome of each of them was a little telegraphed. And I thought that before it's been very clever, and particularly the one with the girl on the run, sort of waking up and being on the run, and the people filming her on their phones. I mean, that had one of the greatest twists I've ever seen in a TV show. That was fantastic, and I won't ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but please do watch it.
Do you think, though, you're saying that, you know, the endings of each segment were a little telegraphed? Do you think that's just because we know his writing really
maybe
well?
So.
I think it is,
and therefore maybe that's what the problem is. Maybe we're too familiar with that style. So.
Yeah. I mean, as I say,
sorry about the aside.
No, that's absolutely fine. I'm used to it by now, Graham. I'm massively used to it by now.
Like me hijacking all your bits.
You are Graham GTA Brian. So yes, I'm very much looking forward to seeing Daniel Radcliffe play Sam Houser. I think that's a good role for him to play, because it's someone who is very important in popular culture, but not necessarily someone that people know a lot about. And I think that's a good call for Radcliffe to play someone like that, because I've seen some of these other work, and in my opinion, it ain't great.
Well, yeah, I thought he was alright in The Woman in Black, but other than that, anything in which he isn't the boy wizard
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah. I also recently saw him in Horns, which is not a terrible movie, but not the movie I thought it was going to be. I can tell you. I was expecting much more jiggery-pokery and wizard sleeves, but no. Anyway, I digress. So GTA the movie coming to BBC Films sometime next year, I believe.
Cool.
Second up on the list this week, sir. Tell me something great that happened in 1966.
England won the World Cup.
I knew you were going to say that. You know why? Because you were a football nerd.
Knob.
You're a football knob and a nerd and all the other things that are at the beginning of them. No, I'll tell you what happened on January the 12th, 1966, sir. The Batman TV show started.
It did. The
with
Dozier Batman, yes.
With the fabulous Adam West. And Burt Ward. He hasn't got a jingle for his name, unfortunately.
He doesn't need one.
He doesn't need one.
He just shagged everyone he ever met. So
mind you, though, have you seen pictures of Burt Ward lately?
Yeah.
It looks like he's eaten Burt Ward.
He does look like he's eaten most of the women he had sex with back in the 60s.
Yeah, and he's only a little fella and all, isn't he?
He's short, yeah.
He's only a small fella. But let's not
Sorry, Burt.
Let's not slate Burt Ward, because he was a fabulous Robin.
It was a great show.
And we're going to get to at least hear him playing Robin again, because Adam West and Burt Ward are going to voice a full-length 90-minute animated feature.
You're kidding me.
I kid you not, sir. Next year is the 50th anniversary of the Batman TV show.
Of course it is, yeah.
So we're going to be getting a lot of Bat-related goodness, I would imagine, in 2016. But I think this is a really cool idea, because I whenever I think of Batman, I don't think of the Christopher Nolan films. I don't think of Michael Keaton. I always hear Adam West's voice in my head.
Yeah.
Doing Batman.
Yeah.
Well, not doing Batman. That would be a completely different thing.
That would be very freaky.
But you get where I'm going with this.
You're right. I think we've talked about it before. That is very much the Batman of our generation. That is the Batman we grew up with, and that defined the character for probably more than a generation, probably for 2 or 3 generations, until Burton came back in the late 80s with his Batman.
Yeah. I think there's rumours as well. Julie Newmar.
Oh, greatest Catwoman ever.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
Sexiest Catwoman ever. Sorry, Michelle Pfeiffer. Well, there's nothing more I can say for that. Just sorry. And I'm really sorry I haven't called you. Yeah. Good news, anyway. Good Bat news. We
Absolutely.
like that.
Very good Bat news.
So
but also, sticking with Bat news, and again, I don't want to...
Hang on a second. Are you hijacking the monkey farm again?
No, I'm not. I'm simply saying...
Am I going to have to put some sort of lock on this door?
The Joker photo.
Are you going to say it in that sexy voice, though? Okay. Come as close as you can to the mic and say, the Joker photo. It rubs the photo on its skin. Or it gets the hose again.
It puts the lotion in the basket.
Put the fucking picture in the basket. I'm sorry, mister.
No, Jared Leto.
Jared Leto, yes.
As the Joker in the Suicide Squad film.
Yeah, little snap that came out very recently.
Obviously, very much based on the Killing Joke cover.
Yep. It's awesome.
For them to be going down that avenue, I'm all for it. It looks great.
I think that picture came about because they've just recently had their first cast read-through for the film. David Ayers put up a lovely picture of the cast, of which Will Smith is in there, and he looks surprisingly comfortable, surrounded by the pantheon of actors around him. Yeah. And I thought he would be kind of
the odd man out.
The odd man out, but he looks like he looks like he's going to enjoy himself, and that's good news. And then very shortly after that picture came out, Ayers did put up this amazing picture, which no doubt we will put up on the Facebook page, because it is a great picture. You only just slightly see Leto in the back, but he looks the part.
But one thing that interested me, something we have spoken about in the past, is the fact that a new franchise of anything will make various differences from any previous franchise of the same characters in order to differentiate themselves.
Of course, yeah.
And of course, being that Heath Ledger was such an iconic Joker, he had the very long hair, and I noticed that the Leto Joker, they're going for a very short, almost crew cut,
cropped almost.
Absolutely.
Crew cut hair.
An interesting choice there for them to go with that one.
I've got one other little thing to add to that as well. The Suicide Squad nonsense. This is a bumper monkey farm.
Yes.
Normally we try to stick to only a few things so we don't blow everyone's minds with the amount of news that we're forcing upon them. But I have read as well that the Harley Quinn Joker relationship in Suicide Squad, she is going to be very much estranged from him.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. I think that's going to be very, very awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you my final bit of Monkey Farm news this week.
Please do.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
You're ready. Do you know quite how much I adore the film Mallrats?
I do know how much you adore the film Mallrats, as do I.
As do you. I mean, you technically are in it.
Yes.
I like to think there's a little bit of both of us in Mallrats, and a little bit of Mallrats in both of us.
Oh yes.
Wouldn't it be great if Kevin Smith did a sequel to Mallrats?
Oh, I would love it. Would you love it?
I would love it. Wouldn't it be even better if he got virtually the whole original cast on board?
Never happened, Scott. Never happened.
Fuck me, Graham. It flippin' well is. Jason Lee, Shannon Doherty, Jeremy London, Ethan Suplee, Jason Mewes, Michael Rooker, Stan Lee, Rennie Humphreys, Joey Lauren Adams, Sven Ole Thorson, Scott Mosier, Brian Johnson and Walter Flanagan. They're all coming back.
And Brian O'Halloran.
Oh, Dante? Yeah, but he's not even supposed to be there today. Boom.
As Gil Hicks.
As Gil Hicks, he is coming back. Yeah, no word on Affleck yet. As fashionable male.
And Claire Forlani.
Or Claire Forlani.
Those are the two that he's waiting on.
Undoubtedly.
I mean, Affleck would be such a coup, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
To get Affleck.
But undoubtedly as well, Ben Affleck and Claire Forlani, the best looking people in the cast, I think.
Have you seen Claire Forlani lately?
Well, she was in CSI for a while, wasn't she?
She was in CSI.
And she was absolutely drop dead gorgeous.
Okay.
Not so much so now. Ooh, okay. Maybe I won't Google Claire Forlani later.
Also, I'm interested to see what he's going to do with it, because you are making a film that is 20 years old, and therefore all those people who were early mid-20s then are now early mid-40s, and it'll be interesting to see
where these characters have got to.
Absolutely. What he's going to be doing with them, and how he's going to tie that into a mall. And of course it is going to be his original title that he came up with it when he originally thought of it back then, which is Mallrats 2 Die Hard in a Mall.
Brilliant.
So how they're going to tie that in with a load of 40-year-old people, I'm very much looking forward to seeing.
But yet another director who's not taken our advice, Graham, of just clearly naming your sequel Electric Boogaloo.
Yes, sadly.
Mallrats 2.
Yes.
Electric Boogaloo. It would have worked.
It'll catch on, Scott. We just got to keep hammering away.
I think we keep hammering away, and we'll get there eventually. I mean, I'm obviously most excited for Joey Lauren Adams because I've still got a massive crush on her.
Yes.
She is just quite clearly one of the most beautiful women in the world, I think.
I obviously feel very much the same way about Ethan Suplee.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a whole lot of man. Actually, he's not so much of a whole lot of man lately, is he?
He's half the man he was.
He is. He's half the man he used to be. I just hope they get it out. I hope they manage to get it all filmed and in the can while Stanley is still with us. Because I need to hear him.
A thought that did cross my mind, I have to say. Film it quick, Kev. Film it quick.
I need to hear him doing more nonsense about vulture soliloquies and so on.
But also, what I love in a very Kev Smith way is the fact that in order to signify each of these actors signing up for it, they've got them holding up two fingers to the camera, and they've all taken selfies. And it started off with obviously him, Mewes, Rooker and Stan Lee, and now as each of the actors are signed on, they've all got their own selfie of them holding up two fingers, some of them doing the proper V sign, some of them doing a peace sign, and that just makes it a bit more
yeah, well, it's the camaraderie that's involved in I would imagine every one of Kevin Smith's shoots,
because
Jason, but that picture that you've just touched on with Rooker, Stan Lee and Mewes, I wonder if Stan Lee was sat there just going, who the fuck are these guys? Who's this? This guy looks like Henry Portrait of a serial killer.
Quite possibly.
I wonder if Stan Lee genuinely is that mad,
But Jason Mewes has said that the best time he had on a film set was Mallrats, and I think that a lot of them do feel that it seemed to be a great time for all of them. And so if they can come back and replicate some of that magic, then I'm all for it. Very much looking forward to it.
I think for me as well, Kevin Smith has now. I mean, if you had a fight between Kevin Smith and Danny Boyle, Kevin Smith now would win purely for the fact that he's had the guts to revisit these characters that he wrote 20 years ago.
Yes.
Whereas Danny Boyle's still, we might go back and do Trainspotting. Just do it, Danny Boyle. Just do it, mate. Because your last couple of films, not great. Do Trainspotting 2 or Porno, as I think the second book was called.
Yes.
And while we're on the subject of Kevin Smith and his merry band, I think we should say a hearty congratulations to Mr. Jason Mewes.
Absolutely, of course, yes.
Who is now...
Who became a father.
Him a daddy.
His daughter Logan.
A lovely name.
Yeah, well done to him.
Lovely name.
A cool name, but a good geeky name as well.
A good geeky name.
Yes.
Girl got claws.
But yeah, you've kind of thrown this one. I mean, of course, it's going to tie into our main topic today.
That is why I did it.
You're very clever.
I was like, well, clever and stuff in
You've got stuff in your brain and that.
Oh, as it works.
But yeah, obviously we won't spoil that for anybody now. But it's Kevin Smith films.
No. That's the Monkey Farm.
Thank you, Scott.
Get out.
I shall go now.
You in particular, out.
But I enjoyed it.
Look, put that back. Thank you, all the way.
And now we should move on to this week's Quick Hits.
Quick Hits.
Okay, I think this week we'll start with me. So, my quick hit is a cracking little independent film that I saw last year called Safety Not Guaranteed. You know that one?
Do you know what? I don't.
Fantastic. I'm going to teach you a little something now.
Please do.
This was a film that came out in 2012. It stars Aubrey Plaza. Is that a name that...
It's a name I know, but I can't put a face to the name.
She is in the TV show Parks and Recreation.
Right, the show that I've not actually
with
seen.
Amy Poehler and Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And plays in that a very dour, almost sort of quite teen emo character, even though she's in her 20s. And to a certain extent carried that over to this role. She plays an employee of Seattle magazine.
Okay.
And she's quite disillusioned with her job, doesn't really like it, sort of a bit sulky in meetings, what have you. And then suddenly one of the other writers in the magazine, played by Jake Johnson, says in a meeting that he would like to investigate a classified ad that appeared in a newspaper. And I will read you what the classified ad is now.
Please do.
Wanted, somebody to go back in time with me. This is not a joke. P.O. Box 91 Ocean View, Washington 99393. You'll get paid after we get back. Must bring your own weapons. Safety not guaranteed. I have only done this once before.
I like the sound of this already.
And, of course, they think this is a whack job and decide to go and stake out this P.O. box to see who shows up. And the person who shows up is a very odd character played by Mark Duplass.
Ah, yes.
Who, along with his brother Jay, was responsible for a cracking little TV show that was on Sky Atlantic recently called Togetherness, which I absolutely loved. What happens is the guy played by Jake Johnson that she's there with, he approaches this bloke and immediately this guy's suspicious of him, and so this guy says to Aubrey Plaza's character, right, you need to get in tight with this guy and find out what's going on. And so in a very offbeat, independent way, she sort of gains this guy's trust and starts to try and find out what's going on and finds out some of his backstory. And some of the story he tells her sort of turns out not to be true. I mean, I don't want to give too many spoilers.
This is the quietest I've ever been when you've done one of these, because I am genuinely interested. I'd like to see this now.
The whole thing is this guy's clearly a whack job and doesn't do time travel, but they're trying to find out his backstory. And the trouble is that she starts off as somebody who's trying to expose this guy as a nut job, but Aubrey Plaza starts to buy into this guy's story and what's happening and sort of wants there to be this time travel machine. And it is just a very quirky, offbeat, hugely independent feel about the whole thing. Clearly low budget, but brilliantly made, brilliantly acted. Jake Johnson's character has his own little subplot where he goes off and meets someone from his past, and he's this sort of very jaded womanizer, and he sort of meets someone and forms a bond with them. And I will have to say that the ending is absolutely jaw-droppingly brilliant. It just... I can't even begin to describe it. It's a wonderful little film.
You're welling up. It's that good.
I'm honestly not welling up. I'm not getting emotional at all. It is just a great little film.
Okay.
And if the end doesn't knock your socks off and make you think, holy shit, I didn't see that coming, then nothing ever will, because it is brilliant.
There are very few films, I think, that you and I recommend one another that we both don't enjoy.
Yeah. You and I have very similar
We've got very
tastes.
similar tastes. So I will definitely give that a
Yes.
watch.
Please do. It is well.
What year was it from again? Sorry?
2012.
2012, so it's only a few years back.
Not that long ago. And,
I mean, I like to think that I'm quite up on films, even indie films, but it's not one that I've heard of. This is possibly one that I've seen the poster for, but have never recognised what the...
Maybe so.
What the film was.
And never got it. Aubrey Plaza and Mark Duplass play absolutely superbly. They play very well off each other. Right up to a great thing about a false ear.
All right.
And it is as quirky, independent, offbeat and wonderful as film can get. Please give it a go. I'm sure you wouldn't be disappointed.
Superb. Right, for me this week, sir, I've got a documentary.
You're stealing my thunder. I love a documentary.
I love a documentary.
Yeah.
I do love a documentary. I'm not sure if you've seen this. It was a documentary that came out in 2004.
Oh, a while ago.
And it's just called Dig.
Okay.
Have you ever seen Dig?
It rings a bell.
Okay, Dig is a documentary directed by the brilliantly named Ondi Timmer, and it follows two rising stars, if you like. One being the Dandy Warhols.
I have seen this.
And the other being the Brian Jonestown Massacre.
Yes, I have seen this.
This, to me, I think, is one of the best music documentaries ever made.
Yeah.
I genuinely do, and I have no qualms in saying that. It is one of the best music documentaries ever made. It is funny, it is heartfelt, it's petrifyingly scary at times.
Absolutely. What's the name of the lead singer of the Brian Jonestown Massacre?
I believe it's Anton Newcombe. It is Anton Newcombe, yes.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he is a proper nut job, isn't he?
yeah, but albeit an amazingly talented musician.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. But, well, they say that most geniuses tend to have a certain element of insanity to them, and he is very much proof of that.
Very much so. I mean, as I said at the top there, I mean, this follows two rising stars. I mean, 'cause at the time, the Dandies and the Brian Jonestown Massacre were both on the up. It just so happened that the star rose quicker for the Dandies, the Dandy Warhols, and for the Brian Jonestown Massacre, it seemed to fizzle pretty quickly.
But of course, and that despite the fact that the Brian Jonestown Massacre were always the ones everybody thought would be the ones to break it big.
Very much. Even Courtney Taylor from the Dandies says, I just never thought it would be us.
Yes,
I thought it would be them because Anton is a genius.
Yeah, but of course then Anton thought that they'd sold out because their success came very quickly. But really, their huge success came through their song being used in a Vodafone advert.
Yeah. Now, after that song was used in the Vodafone advert, I can never ever think about anything other than that Vodafone advert.
Of course, we're talking about Bohemian Like You.
Yeah, which a great song, a great song. It's just a shame that, as we say, that advert overshadowed what was a pretty good catalogue of music that they had. It's as I say,
Not If I Was the Last Junkie on Earth.
Yes.
I seem to remember. That was a great track which preceded that.
And there's a beautiful moment in the documentary where Anton turns up at a Dandy's gig, and it's at the time that single was big. And he's selling off his own music that he's had pressed on vinyl of a track called "Not If I Was the Last Dandy on Earth." And he's actually gone to their gig to sell his music. There's scenes of him having fights with audience members. Actually smacking people over the head with instruments.
Yeah.
There's scenes of him being so far out of whack due to drug use. Sometimes it wouldn't appear that it was humanly possible for a man to function on the amount of drugs that he's obviously taken. But for me, the highlight is Courtney Taylor from the Dandies basically recanting the story regarding a biscuit tin full of shotgun shells that he received from Anton, each of which had a name of the members of the Dandy Warhols written on each shotgun shell. Now, that's creepy, isn't it?
That's proper whack.
I mean, and just to show the comparison between the two rising stars as well, there's a brilliant scene with the Dandy Warhols getting pulled over by the cops on this bus, and they've got a shit ton of weed on them. And the cops are kind of going, "Oh yeah, it's all cool. Yeah, no, you're fine. You can go and you can keep your weed." And I can't recall where it is they get pulled over. And then on the flip side, you see Anton and his boys from the Brian Jonestown Massacre getting pulled over, and they have a horrible time with the police, and the police just genuinely don't like them at all. So it's one of those real eye opener documentaries regarding the music business.
Yeah.
If you're a lover of rock and roll and you're a lover of rock music in general, watch it. It's a real ride.
But even if you're not, stripping away the whole music thing, this is a story of jealousy, betrayal, and sort of slight madness as well, you know, and you could apply that to any situation, not just to the rock and roll scene.
Very much so. These two bands are very much like the two sides of Two Faces coin. Yeah, good and evil, and it's a real ride. So yeah, dig. You'll love it.
Cool. Now we'll move on to this week's main topic.
When they got the ball, you know they won't drop it. The Geek-Minded fools discuss the main topic.
Right, for this week's main topic, we thought we'd discuss a director that I think you and I, very early on in our friendship, bonded over our love of. When
very much so.
We used to talk about his films, and obviously back then I think he'd only had his first couple out. It was somewhere that we used to talk about the fact that we not only enjoyed, but kind of in a funny way identified with his films. I think he's very much a director of our generation, and that's Kevin Smith.
The maestro that is Kevin Smith. Indeed. Fellow podcaster.
Yes, podcaster extraordinaire.
He is indeed,
He has about 37 podcasts. Do you know what? It's funny. Kevin Smith has such a big influence on my life, and that, as a case in point, proved it. Whenever I need to pull a random number out of my head to overemphasise a point, I always say 37, which anybody who's seen Clerks will know what that means.
Very much so, yeah, no.
In a row?
In a row?
But obviously, Kevin Smith hit the scene in a big way in 1994 with Clerks, which was famously financed by his credit cards.
Indeed, yeah.
I think it cost something like $27,000. He dropped out of film school in Vancouver and filmed it at his place of work at the Quick Stop, and just became an indie charm, you know, at a time when so many great indie directors, you know, were sort of breaking through.
Endlessly quotable.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. And yet the funny thing is, I didn't see it when it came out. The first Kevin Smith film I saw was Mallrats. And I can remember hearing Barry Norman do his review of Clerks on film 94, I guess it would have been, and thinking, oh, that sounds good, but not actually getting around to seeing it or experiencing it.
I think it was brave at the time as well. For being a black and white movie, it was already putting itself in a, you know, very much pigeonholing itself as almost like an indie art film, wasn't it? An art house film.
You know why it's in black and white?
Because it was cheap.
No, it wasn't. It cost more to film in black and white than it would have done in colour.
Oh, okay.
However, because they were filming, of course, they were filming at night, which was why they had to keep the shutters down and put the iShoe open, because they were filming during the night. Which some of you may have seen on our Facebook page. But basically, Dave Klein, who was the director of photography, who Kevin had met along with Scott Mosier at the Vancouver Film School, said that the fluorescent lighting would have caused flicker problems on a colour film that wouldn't have been there on black and white. So they decided that is something I genuinely didn't know. Spend the extra money on black and white film. But yeah, my first experience, funny enough, was Mallrats, and only because a very good friend of mine who you also know, Steve, or Young Steve as he's known, when I got married first time around, at my wedding, he came up to me and said, I saw a film with you in it the other night. And I said, what? He said, I saw a film with you in it. I said, what the hell are you talking about? He said, Mallrats. Watch Mallrats, you're in it. Got to assume he's referring to Brodie Bruce. Brodie Bruce. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? He said, just watch it. So we went away on a honeymoon, came back, and I kid you not, it was the day after we came back from honeymoon. I went up to the video store up the road from us, found Mallrats on the shelf, and thought, right, I will give this a go. And watched it with my then wife, and we were no more than 10 minutes in when she turned to me, not having known what Steve had said to me, and said, oh my God, that's you. What, did you shit? Which knowing the way that Brodie Bruce is portrayed in Mallrats isn't exactly the greatest compliment anybody could receive. Not really. But the reason that both she and Steve thought it was me wasn't the fact that he was a complete dick. It was the fact that back then I used to wear a brown suede jacket, which Brodie does in the film. I always used to wear white t-shirts, which Brodie did in the film. Jeans, which Brodie did in the film. Airwalk trainers, which Brodie did in the film. And at one point, T.S. calls around to see Brodie, and Brodie is talking to him, and as he's talking to him, he is bagging comics with Scotch tape and talking to him while he's bagging comics, and that's what I always used to do.
Yep.
I would bag comics in exactly the way he did, with Scotch tape, whilst I was just having conversations. Yeah. And all these people were just like, oh my God.
It's pretty eerie, isn't it, when you see something that is so much you.
Absolutely.
Yet at the same time, not you.
Me. Absolutely. There are a lot of facets to Brodie's personality that are very much different from mine, I'm pleased to say. But of course, having seen that made me want to go back and watch Clerks and just discover the joy that it was.
Yeah, indeed. As you say, yeah, you don't display every facet that Brodie displays during Mallrats. Like, I'm pretty sure you've never had a post-coital techno boogie.
No. Nor have I ever stink palmed someone.
I'm not sure about that. I'm pretty sure you have.
I really
have you ever scorned a woman for Sega?
No.
No. Well, there you go.
Never had a Sega console.
Oh, well, there you go. So all these things that proves that you know you are the better man. But yeah, Brodie Bruce, played brilliantly by the unfortunately now Scientologist Jason Lee. Yeah. But I think possibly one of the best performances he's ever done.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
He's just amazing.
Yeah.
In fact, the whole cast of Mallrats is amazing. But I mean, I think we should probably stay at the beginning with Clerks.
Absolutely. I did try and segue you back to Clerks, but you then went back to Mallrats.
Because it is my favourite one out of the lot of them. Oh, I've given up. I've given up all the goods now. What's your favourite movie?
Nah.
Do you know what? Fuck this podcast. I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Hey!
Oh, we're back on Clerks.
Yes, as I say, after seeing Mallrats, I then went back to Clerks and just discovered what an absolute gem it was. Anybody who doesn't say that Randall is their favourite character is, quite frankly, an idiot.
Yeah, has no funny bone.
But it is just, you know, the story of these two guys who work together, and certainly Dante's tangled love life. But as Kevin Smith has shown film after film after film, just with great, honest dialogue. Yeah. And I think that's what maybe not elevates him above, but certainly sets him aside from an awful lot of people. He's just dialogue driven. You know, he can have a 10-minute scene where it's just two people, one shot, and they're talking to each other, and they're talking about stupid stuff. They're talking about Star Wars films. It's all, you know, modern references, the things, you know. I mean, you know, the old adage is write what you know, and Kevin Smith does. Yeah. He writes the sort of conversations that he has with his friends, with the references that he's into.
And that was the beauty of it, wasn't it? Because the dialogue didn't seem shoehorned.
No, absolutely. It was entirely natural.
Much like the way you and I converse, it was natural for him and his group to speak in that manner, you know, to make the Star Wars references. I mean, not just the dialogue. I mean, some of the little supporting characters that turn up, you know, like the milkmaid and the Chewley's chewing gum representative. Yeah. But still, you know, they've all got this great dialogue that fits their characters perfectly.
Very much so.
It is a cracking film, isn't it? It is
cracking, and of course, he's roped in all his friends. I mean, Walt Flanagan had about 3 roles in it, didn't he?
Yeah.
But of course, I don't know whether you'd say the breakout star, but certainly, you know, the one that people will look back on and say that launched a career is Jason Mewes as Jay.
I'd say a breakout star.
Yes, with, you know, obviously Kevin Smith as Silent Bob, and those two became the C-3PO and R2-D2 throughout the Kevin Smith films, and obviously certainly within the Viewer Skewniverse, you know, when they closed the book for the first time, it was them having their own film.
Indeed, yeah. I definitely agree with your statement of him being a breakout star. I think he is. I mean, it's just unfortunate everything he's done outside of the work with Kevin Smith has been a little bit subpar.
Well, probably because in the Kevin Smith films he's playing himself.
Yeah.
And with the greatest respect to him, he isn't a fantastic actor. He's just great at accentuating his own eccentricities.
Yeah. Well, there's that great story, isn't there, of Kevin Smith speaking to Mewes before they were about to film them. On which particular film it was, I'm not sure, but Mewes having a sudden attack of the nerves. And he's like, what the fuck are you being nervous for? You're just playing yourself.
Just being you.
Just be you. That's I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's very evident in all of the films, isn't it? From the beginning all the way up until how much love Smith has for Mewes.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not blowing our own trumpets at all in any way here, but needless to say, we've both got a very close friend called Chris who still refers to you as Bob.
Yes.
Which I think only can tell you who he thinks I am. But I think our relationship is very similar to the Smith and Mewes relationship.
Very much so. Yes, yeah. And I think, you know, we've acknowledged that many times along the way and on the path our friendship has taken.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, I said earlier, Mallrats, I think, out of all of them, is my favourite of the films, just because it is so colourful and so comic book and so Some brilliant characters
it's sort
again.
of crass and coarse, but it's again, it's very natural and real. You know, yes, as you say, it does take on this, particularly with Jay and Silent Bob trying to trash the set of the TV show. It sort of takes on, you know, a very sort of comic book element in terms of the comedy and the situations they find themselves in. But yeah, just a wonderful, over-the-top, silly film.
It's kind of like the anti-American Pie, isn't it? Because you've got a group of friends in there, you know, a group of characters who all at one stage or another interact.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just all seems a little bit more real to me.
Yeah.
Also, as well, Mallrats pretty much introduced us to Ben Affleck, did it not?
Very much, yes. Yeah.
Playing the brilliantly named Shannon. Oh, what's his surname in it? Yeah, but I know he definitely works at Fashionable Mail.
Yes, he does.
And he likes to fuck people in uncomfortable places.
The back of a Volkswagen.
Hey,
you tee him
good.
up, I'll knock him through, mate.
Damn, Skippy. But yeah, again, he's brilliant in it as well. Ben Affleck is brilliant because he does play a very good bastard.
A very good bad guy. Yeah.
As he showed,
a sleazy bad guy.
As he showed as well in Dazed and Confused, Richard Linklater film. You know, he very rarely plays a bad guy, Affleck, and I think he was perfect.
I think, you know, he has these sort of movie star good looks, and therefore, you know, he's often playing the big male lead. But yeah, obviously Mallrats was followed up. I mean, Mallrats was 95, and then 2 years later, in 97, came Chasing Amy, which was
the difficult third album.
Well, it was a massive change of pace.
Yeah.
And of course, what happened was Clerks was a critical and box office success. And so Universal then gave Smith a load of money to make Mallrats, and everybody was expecting that to be a success. And of course, it kind of died on its arse. And I think Kevin Smith kind of went back to basics then and told a bit more of a personal story in Chasing Amy, certainly about his reaction to his girlfriend Joey Lauren Adams and her sexual history and how one would deal with that. And it's been criticised because you effectively have a lesbian being turned straight for the love of a good man, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
although I don't think that was ever his intention, was it? It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't about that. But I think that's what people got the wrong end of the stick.
Well, yeah, I mean,
certain
you can understand
critics.
the argument, but I think that what he was trying to do was just tell a love story, but a love story showing, you know, how difficult it can be for somebody to deal with the sexual history of their partner. And it was very raw, and I would say that I wasn't keen on the ending. I thought the ending was
a bit schmaltzy.
Yeah, well, not even schmaltzy. I didn't like the fact that Ben Affleck felt that the way to deal with the fact that he was jealous of his partner's sexual past and the fact that his best friend had a problem with his girlfriend by proffering the fact that they should all sleep together.
Yeah, it's an odd arc.
Clearly the whole thing was to show that he was kind of losing it a bit, but I don't even see the rationale behind that thought process to say, right, okay, the only way to deal with this is for us to all sleep together. Seemed a bit, you know, I don't know where that's coming from. So, but again, another great appearance by Jay and Silent Bob, and a bit more of their background. It's actually Silent Bob who comes up with the Chasing Amy story, isn't it?
Indeed, yes.
You know,
would we refer to this as a soliloquy?
Very much so. And of course, you know, the thing about Silent Bob is that his trademark is the fact that he says nothing in every film apart from one dynamite line, which wraps everything up in a nice little bow. And yeah, I just felt that him being given the chance to have a big speech in that one.
And it's a really good speech as well. So it's really heartfelt, and it's really, yeah. Do you know, thinking about it, it does give me little goosebumps thinking about it, because it's actually genuinely well performed as well on Smith's part.
Absolutely. Beautifully written, beautifully performed.
Yeah, and then from there, where did we go? I mean, 2 years later, we went on to Dogma.
Yes, which was sort of Smith's look at religion. He was obviously brought up a Catholic.
Famously picketed his own film, didn't he?
He did indeed. Yes. There was a telly broadcast live with people protesting outside a cinema. And he turned up and made a placard and actually
words along the lines of this terrible movie, just go to hell and all this nonsense. But yeah, brilliant. We love him.
But again, it was a very intelligent, structured look at it, albeit with the usual Kevin Smith spin, which is some gross out humour. You know, you had the shit monster and
the Golgothan.
But yeah, you know, again, sort of that one. You know, you had Chris Rock came in,
George Carlin.
Matt Damon came in alongside Ben Affleck as the two fallen angels.
Yeah.
As you say, Cardinal Glick was George Carlin, which was a great performance. And so, he was starting to get his little pack of actors who he liked to draw on. But despite the gross-out humour, some very intelligent and sort of thoughtful themes running through the whole thing about, not only religion, but particularly faith.
I think the two things that really stand out for me about Dogma as a film are Matt Damon and Ben Affleck as Bartleby and Loki.
Yep.
I think the scene with them in the boardroom of the Movies executive boardroom is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
It is so well written and so well performed and so genuinely menacing on the part of both Affleck and Damon. And secondly, for me, what a great statement to make Alanis Morissette God.
Yeah.
But it's just wow.
Yeah.
A great movie and deserving of all our praise.
Yes.
I think.
Yep.
But from there, sir, Dogma, you know where we went next.
We went to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back in 2001. Yep.
Oh my God.
Which was a romp.
A rip snorting fun ride. A great cast, a great story, I think.
And of course, by this time,
tying up the final scenes of Mallrats.
Yes,
pretty much, because we see them leaving at the end with Suzanne, don't we?
Yes.
The monkey.
Yes. Yeah, again, they were starting to get some big players in. I mean, Will Ferrell was in there.
Officer Will and Holly.
Judd Nelson.
Yeah.
It was just a crazy adventure from start to finish, basically about them finding out that their images had been ripped off, and there was now this Blunt Man and Chronic, which was, again, going back to Chasing Amy, the characters that Ben Affleck and Jason Lee's character paid them, which is how they lived. We found out that they created these two comic characters from them, and they were therefore paid in order for their likenesses to be used, and then they found out there was going to be a movie. So just some very in-jokes as well. You had a great Gus Van Sant.
Now, Ben, I'm counting my money.
Yes. And Lime Face, Lemon Face.
Lemon Face. There's a little moment, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but there's a little moment where one of the security guards says about we got a 316. It's like a code for whatever the crime has been, and there's just Affleck going, no, because I never even had a hooker in my trailer. That's a great moment. But
my favourite moment in that whole film, and I know it's coarse and stupid, it makes me laugh, is the bit where Jay and Silent Bob get to the studio, and they're both on a bike riding along, and they basically take off on a ramp, and they fly across.
I know what you're going to say. It's the poster, isn't it?
The poster, and it's a spoof on E.T. because they was on a bike flying in front of the moon, but the moon is part of a Ben Affleck film, and it just says Ben Affleck is Moonraper.
That is a brilliant sight. That is a brilliant sight gag.
That just cracks me up every time.
For me, I can never not hear the lines. Can't believe I'm going to get some.
I may need a moment to compose myself.
Oh, dude. Oh man.
But I tell you, any film that can make you laugh like that is well worth watching.
For me, I can never keep a straight face when Jay delivers the "Can't believe I'm going to get some pussy for stealing the monkey." I can never keep a straight. Well, I mean, the whole film is.
Oh dear!
It is brilliant. Yeah, I high point.
I mean, it's a crime caper. It's
It's like the Muppet movie on crack.
Yes, indeed, absolutely.
Is.
The Muppet movie with real people.
Yes. And
just over the top characters.
Great performances throughout.
Carrie Fisher, George Carlin again,
and lovely as well, as you said earlier, that he ties back a lot. Ties it back into a lot of the older characters like Holden and Banku,
Ali Larter.
Oh, I love Ali Larter. She is a beautiful
and obviously Kevin's wife making her first.
Jennifer Schwalbach.
Yes, indeed, making her first appearance. But tied it all up and ended. I mean, that was supposed to be the end of the View Askew-niverse, which
the book was supposed to be closed.
Yes, and was literally closed by Alanis Morissette as God at the end. So she sort of giggled and closed the book, and that was it. He moved on to other films. But that didn't last long.
No. So I mean, after that,
you had Jersey
Girl, which I'm not going to be coarse. I'm not going to be rude, but I think the less said about it,
Well,
the better.
Do you know what? It's suffered greatly because of Benifer. Yes, precisely. After they'd made the film, the famous Turkey starring Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, who were then a couple and probably sort of Hollywood's big couple, they brought out a film called Gigli, which absolutely was critically panned and died on its arse. And then Kevin Smith brought out Jersey Girl, which started off with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez in a relationship, even though Lopez dies about 10-15 minutes in childbirth. That kind of set the seal on it and people didn't take it seriously. I mean, I've watched it since. Is it a great film? No. Is it as bad as everybody makes out? No.
It was really riding off the backlash of Gigli, wasn't it?
But again, George Carlin was in it. You know, the idea was...
Yes, he's Affleck's father in it, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah. And, the idea was that Lopez dies in childbirth, leaving Affleck literally holding the baby, and it's about his sort of struggle to bring up a child as a single parent. But yeah, George Carlin was fantastic. It was a great performance, and I think it's a shame that kind of gets swept under the carpet a little bit, because of the backlash against the film. It
was an odd place, I think, for him to go after the gross out brilliance of some of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yes.
So for me, it's.
But
not,
I think
it's not
he obviously wanted to become a serious filmmaker and not famous for his gross out comedies. Yeah. But the fact that Jersey Girl died on its arse means he went straight back to the gross out comedies and made Clerks 2.
He certainly did, and I'm all the better for it.
Absolutely.
To be honest.
Obviously, you've now got Clerks in colour, but bringing in again another serious actress, Rosario Dawson, lent it some credence. But probably it's Elias.
Elias, I can't remember his surname.
I can't remember. But he's the other Movies employee who works with Randall and Dante from the first film. Yeah. And he's this sort of very...
now working for Mubi, which ties us again back to Dogma, which was the evil fast food company. Yeah.
He's this sort of ultra-religious but very naive employee that they basically...
Trevor Furman is the actor's name.
Yes.
And he is brilliant in it.
He plays it superbly. But also the first Kevin Smith film to have a musical number.
Yeah, which...
When, of course, there was a big dance to ABC
by the Jacksons. Yeah,
5.
On the rooftop of the Movies restaurant, which, when I first saw it, I must admit, it didn't sit very well with me. But on repeat viewings, it actually fits very well in the film. It gives it a nice... not, I'd say, a well-needed break from some of the comedy at all, but... it's something different.
Absolutely, no.
And I think if there's one thing you can say about Kevin Smith is he's never been afraid to try something different. And well, the proof is in the pudding. It does work.
I just think keep the audience on its toes. Don't let them think that they know what's coming next. Yeah. And it literally starts off with Dante not knowing how to dance and sort of dancing up on the roof with Rosario Dawson and then playing the song.
It's a very sweet scene, actually, isn't
it? Yeah, but it sort of gets into a whole song and dance number with all these dancers down on the floor and sort of, the great one of Silent Bob with pigtails doing the "Come on, girl, I think I love you," and all this sort of thing. It's sort of, again, just stupid, surreal fun. And I think, I can remember, at the time they showed it in Cannes and it got, an 8-minute standing ovation or something because, after Jersey Girl particularly, he was being written off a bit as, not being someone who could make serious films. And very much a return to form.
To be honest, for me, after the terrible time that Dante has in Clerks, I think he more than deserved a dance scene and a romantic interlude with Rosario Dawson. But well deserved.
Also, a great ending where you go full circle back to Clerks as well, even with it fading back to black and white on the last scene, which is it's just a little stroke of genius,
beautifully done.
Absolutely.
After that, sir, we went somewhere very different. Zack and Miri make a porno. Do they? Yes, they do.
This was at the time when Seth Rogen was coming off the 40-year-old Virgin, where he really broke it big, and then Knocked Up and all these Judd Apatow films.
Which effectively, Judd Apatow was kind of like the next generation's Kevin Smith, really.
Absolutely. But I think because of that, for Kevin to get Seth Rogen and to be making that kind of film, this was the one. And everybody, Miramax, Kevin himself, everybody expected this film to break it big. And the only thing he did wrong was calling it Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Yeah.
Because you can't put Make a Porno in a title and people think it's going to be a fun, gross-out comedy. And unfortunately, because of that, Kevin has obviously commented on this before, Miramax didn't push it in the way that they perhaps could have done, because there was a little bit of fear in there. And, yeah, you know, they expected it to make 30 million over its first weekend, and I think it did about 200,000 or something. And very disappointed. And it was at that point that Kevin, I think, started to fall a little out of love with filmmaking.
Yeah. For me, Zack and Miri is a good film.
It is a good film.
And I think it's got...
I can remember us going to see it in the Trocadero Centre in London.
In the sticky floored cinema.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't sticky floored for that reason.
And absolutely killing ourselves laughing. So it was brilliant.
For me, it does two things perfectly well. For a start, the poster that was much maligned by the censor boards over there, they wouldn't allow that poster of each of the characters being implied to be giving each other head. Mm-hmm. It was a pretty near the knuckle poster, but I didn't think it was that offensive. I just liked his response to it when they said you couldn't use that poster by just putting out the stick figure drawing poster. Yeah. I thought that was a real fuck you.
Yeah.
And also as well, Muse with heart-shaped pubes.
Yes. But to me, what I liked about it, and this is a sort of a theme that runs through all of Kevin's work, is that his films may be silly, slapstick, childish, puerile, gross-out humour, but they all have a heart.
Yeah.
And what Zack and Miri is, set against these people who decide to make a porn film in order to make money and be able to carry on living, it's a love story. It's about two people who are with each other and don't realise that the person they're with is the one for them. And it takes this whole silly adventure and then them falling out and going their separate ways to realise that they're actually in love.
Yeah.
And that's one thing you can always find in a Kevin Smith film. There is heart amongst all the childish silliness. There is hope and there is love.
There's you're right. There is always that element of love, love story-esque vibe going down.
Absolutely.
I'd rather stand shoulder to shoulder with Zack and Miri than I would Jersey Girl, let's put it that way.
Oh.
But we unfortunately then moved on, didn't we, after Zack and Miri Make a Porno to a film that, oh dear, well, I mean, the title says it all. It's...
Of course, the thing is, this is the first film Kevin directed that he didn't write.
Indeed, it was.
Which made a huge difference. He was effectively a jobbing director.
Yeah.
But this is the film that he very much fell out of love with one of his cinematic heroes growing up, which was Bruce Willis. Yeah. Because Bruce Willis famously, at least according to Kevin, completely dialed it in. And this is cop-out.
And there's a bit of a dick.
Yes.
Let me read you this is the first line of the synopsis for the film.
Go on.
A comedy about a veteran NYPD cop whose rare baseball card is stolen.
Yeah.
Should we move on?
I think so.
Yeah. It wasn't a great film. I'm incredibly sorry, Kevin. Well, not that you give a fuck. You got paid.
But he knows that. I mean, when he jokes about his crack career, he will either bring up Jersey Girl or Cop Out. His yardstick for something being shit is to refer to it as a Jersey Girl or a Cop Out. So he knows.
So I mean, after that brief little upset, he went somewhere that I did never expect him to go.
No.
I mean, you know of my love of the horror genre, and to see one of my favourite directors tackle one of my favourite genres was a very exciting thing. And for me, he didn't let me down. I really enjoyed his next movie in 2000, which was Red State.
Yes.
Again, a stellar cast. Not people he'd worked with before, I don't think.
No. I think, John Goodman, Michael Parks, Melissa Leo.
Some big names.
Yes. Well, say big names. I mean...
Oh, it's all right. Some recognisable names.
Yes.
Melissa Leo, I mean, she's done pretty well since...
Well, this is it, since then. And I think what happened is these people almost put themselves back on the map. Michael Parks had been around for years.
Of course,
but hadn't really been headlining it at all. And I think this performance actually put him back on the radar. And of course, Kevin Smith has said that famously Ben Affleck got sent a version of this to watch and immediately cast 3 of the cast in Argo.
Yeah. Well, John Goodman,
Michael
Parks, obviously, yeah,
and Melissa Leo, wasn't it? Yeah. So
Michael Parks in Red State
is proper scary.
Is proper scary.
Proper
that is a cinematic heavyweight right there.
And it's a funny film because it's almost in 2 parts. It sort of starts off as being almost a bit of an American Pie type caper. It's 3 boys who basically meet this woman online who's promising all sorts of sexual favours, and they turn up there and then get knocked out and end up being captured and held by this religious clan who are obviously very much based on the
Pastor Fred Phelps, who is now fortunately well and truly in the ground.
Yes, and the Westboro Baptist Church. And Kevin made no secret of the fact that that's what he was based on, because they had picketed and gone against so many of his films that he thought, right, I'm going to give it them where they need it most. And
right in the ass.
But funny enough, what I didn't like about this film, and I certainly didn't like it as much as you did, I felt that the end kind of let it down, because I felt it reached quite a nasty, horrific place. But then it suddenly turned into just a bit of a police shootout, and I felt the ending was a disappointment for me.
There are elements of the end that I thought could have been handled better, but the Horns of Jericho moment for me is just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Because come on, who wouldn't want to see a bunch of religious fundamentalists having their beliefs just completely trampled? I know I would. And again, as I said at the top of this, Michael Parks, his whole that big long speech that he gives is genuinely petrifying, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It is a petrifying.
And there's some great moments of horror in it, you know.
Yeah, very much so. After that, he was a bit quiet for a while.
Well, he kind of...
Pretty much said he was that was it, wasn't it?
After Zack and Miri, I know that he struggled a bit, and that was when he got into weed, smoking a lot of weed, which he'd never done before.
He gave up booze, didn't he?
Yeah, and famously became sort of a wake and baker, as it's referred to, somebody who's just, constantly smoking weed. And didn't feel that blunted his creative edge.
For want of better words.
Yeah. But he almost seemed to fall out of love with filmmaking, and that lasted... for quite some time. He sort of talked about he wanted to do a film called Hit Somebody,
the ice hockey
ice hockey thing, which then was supposed to be a TV miniseries.
I believe it still is now.
I think that got shelved, and he's now looking at doing it again as a film.
Oh right, okay.
But then, of course, as you mentioned before, to his podcasting, suddenly a spark of an idea that simply came from a show that he and Scott Mosier did on Smodcast, when they found this story about a classified ad that was put out on a website in this country about a guy down in Brighton who was saying that he had a room to let, and he was prepared to let somebody have it for free, but only if they would dress up as a walrus for him. And Kevin and Scott were just tearing into the story and having fun with it. And then Kevin said, this would make a great horror film if this guy turned out to be a complete nut job and would knock you out. And that planted the seeds that eventually almost rekindled his passion for the art. And
for the art of storytelling.
Yes, and his desire to direct. And suddenly we had Tusk.
Yeah. Now, I don't think I'm going to be wrong in saying this has got to be the first time ever that a film has been pretty much pitched via a podcast.
Absolutely.
And decided whether or not it was going to be made by a vote.
Absolutely.
Tusk yes, hashtag Tusk yes, or...
It was Walrus yes, Walrus no.
Walrus yes, Walrus no, okay.
And apparently for everybody who responded, there was only one person said Walrus no, and that was because the guy who tweeted that apparently said afterwards, I just feel that in the interest of democracy, somebody needs to say no. Somebody needs to be the dissenting voice.
So someone had to be that guy.
And so he went back to Michael Parks, he went back to that well, and also got Justin Long and Haley Joel Osment, and made a modern horror tale.
He did indeed. Now, I have seen it, and I didn't think it was great.
No, you didn't like it.
I mean, it is effectively Human Centipede, okay? The first half is pretty damn good, I must say. It's awe-inspiring quite how big Haley Joel Osment's head is. And it was a godsend when he put a hat on, to be honest, because I didn't... His head just hasn't stopped growing since he was a child. It's amazing. He must have more than 6 senses.
I see head people.
I see head people, indeed. Justin Long, I do like...
I do like him.
I really do like him, but whether or not he can carry a whole film as the main character, not sure. First half, very good. Second half... Just a lot of Justin Long screaming and crying. I'm never going to write it off as being absolute crap, because it's a crazy scientist movie, and what's not to love? Michael Parks,
but of course, famous for featuring Johnny Depp
as
Guy Lapointe.
Yeah, unrecognisable, isn't it? And definitely channeling on more than one level Peter Sellers as Clouseau.
A burn.
A burn in a burn. Yeah.
But also, of course, the first screen appearance of Kevin's daughter, Harley Quinn Smith.
And the other young lady there,
Johnny Depp's daughter.
Johnny Depp's daughter,
Yes.
isn't it? Yes.
But that, in terms of revitalising Kevin's interest in making films, means that he now wants to make this monster trilogy, whereby the next film he's making is Yoga Hosers, which will feature his daughter and Johnny Depp's daughter even more.
Is it Johnny Depp's daughter, or is it again in Yoga Hosers? It's...
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realise that. Okay. I don't understand the title.
And, that came from a Smodcast again. Scott Mosier came up with the name. It was a play on words, and Kevin liked it. And then, of course, he's going for Moose Jaws, which is basically Jaws with a moose.
Love it.
So he's back on track, and I think, love him or hate him, you have to admire the fact that he's always out there pushing the boundaries. Now, I will always support Kevin Smith in his cinematic endeavours, simply because I like the guy. I think he's funny. He's very much my sense of humour. I listen to the vast majority of his podcasts. I think as a filmmaker, he's extremely talented. He knows how to get it done. He knows how to get good performances. He's a fantastic writer. He understands the nuances of conversations in a very natural way. And I think it was very important in terms of our relationship. There's so many things that you and I bonded over, particularly in terms of some music. You know, there was a lot of bands we liked. There was Spider-Man, there was, a love of comics. But I think Kevin Smith was a big thing because it was something that gave us an outlet, something we could discuss, talk about. But also, I remember us two going to see Dogma together at the Epsom Odeon just after it opened, back in '99. And therefore, he's been something that's...
He's been a constant.
Being a huge part of our friendship.
And you and I, like many others as well, not only could identify with him, it was our thing, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
And there were a lot of us out there who felt like this is our thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
As I said earlier, he's never been afraid to push the envelope.
Yeah.
He's always had this element of heart in his films.
Yeah. But just to close, Kevin Smith, he's a very Marmite director. You do love him or you hate him. And I kind of like it when somebody says to me, Kevin Smith, I can't stand him. Because to me, I'm kind of like, good, you don't need to. Because I do. And if he's mine and not yours, then fuck yeah, I'll have him. So yeah, long may his writing and his directing continue.
Indeed.
Right, that's all for this week's episode. So for myself, Graham.
And myself, Scott.
Thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you next week.